Now, nobody likes to be a speaker right after lunch. However, we have a surprise for you. You are going to be re-energized for the next part of the afternoon because Judy Carter is a world-renowned speaker, comic, and author. She doesn't know anything about neuropathy or MMN. However, here's what she does know. Judy was born knowing that messes in her life were great comedy material. She said, take out this other stuff that's in the bio because I don't want it there, but I have to put some of it back in. I don't know anybody in the room that shared the stage with Billy Crystal, Lily Tomlin, or was nominated for the Atlantic City Entertainer of the Year. Pretty cool, right? And as an author, she's also very humble. Judy doesn't like to brag, but she did write the Bible. No joke. She's the author of the Comedy Bible, which was featured, once again, Good Morning America, featured on CNN and the Oprah Winfrey Show, where Oprah recommended the book to anyone who wants to be funnier. So Judy currently teaches people the power of their personal story in business, how humor techniques can help decrease stress, and I think we all have heard today that stress is our enemy for the diseases that we have, and how to turn problems into punchlines. She has done healing through humor workshops with hospitals nationwide and has also done the same with cancer and AIDS survivors, showing them that HIV can stand for humor is vital. Judy has a new book. It's called The Message of You, Turn Your Life Story into a Money-Making Speaking Career. And it gives readers a guide to becoming her competition, which is totally cool. She's going to be signing her book out at the side if you'd like to pick it up. So with that, I'd like to introduce Judy Carter.
Thank you, Claudia. Another hand for Claudia. That was a terrific intro. That was the best intro I've ever written. Thank you. And Dominique, I'm inspired. And oh my God, the Beeve. This is fantastic. And you're right. I didn't know what neuropathy was. And I have learned so much just being here, and so honored to be with the people here who are VIPs and VPs and RNs and MDs and a CEO who is a BFD and you know, people here are like have BAs and MBAs and STDs and I have learned, you know, they explained exactly, Judy, people here, they're dealing with CIPDP and GBS and, MMN and, and sometimes it's mistaken for ALS and CIPDP. It's amazing you all give an SHIT. My gosh. Do we need all these acronyms, really? But I'm here to show you that even if you're dealing with something that you feel is not leading you to success and you're feeling like, I'm not an MD, I'm not an R, and you're not SOL, really, because what makes you a BFD is not your credentials following your name. And I'm here to tell the people in this room, the people listening at home, what I believe my truth is, and what I have learned just sitting at my table and having some of you pass me by and telling me your story, is that all of you have such an important story to tell. Every single person here has something that I call the message of you that can be used to tell your story, to inspire hope in other people. And your success might be something really small. Your success might be for the day that you just figured out how to get your doctor to understand what you're feeling, but you have a message. And what is that message? How do you find it? Well, it's in the word itself. It's in the first 4 letters. You can't have a message without a mess. And the last 4 letters is you need age to see it. You need age to see your mess, because everyone in this room is an expert, regardless of what your degrees are. Look at the people who call themselves experts. Dr. Phil wrote the best-selling book out on weight loss. Anybody but me notice this man is chubby? What's his next book going to be? Hair care tips for men? You know, we all depend on doctors for information. Oh, doctors, they know, they know so much. Look, the AMA said, watch out for the symptoms of stress: excessive eating, excessive drinking, not exercising, and excessive shopping. What are they talking about? This is my idea of a good day. Am I right? It's let's skip the gym, chow down, get loaded, and shop. Doctors said, oh my goodness, women 8 years ago, they said take hormones, right? Take hormones, they'll help you. And then 8 years ago, they said, stop taking hormones, they'll kill you. And 8 million women went off hormone replacement therapy, plunging themselves into menopause. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the true cause of global warming. I'm just saying, woo-hoo to your mess, because your mess, whatever you're going through, look at Dominic, his mess led us to all being here when he first felt that tingle. It's our mess. Every success depends on a mess. I am not funny because I grew up in a Leave It to Beaver household. Are you kidding? I'm Jewish. We're miserable people. You understand, right? I mean, my home was in June and Cleve, and it was talking real soft and sweet and nice. We were screaming and yelling, and so we had a wailing wall in our living room, okay? This is my background. Here's my background. It's like my father, he was, Ward Cleaver. Ward was really drunk. My father's an alcoholic. My younger sister is a drug addict. My older sister, Marcia, had such severe cerebral palsy she could not speak. My grandmother was manic depressive. Now, my mother, she was in denial. Have you had a mother like this? She actually was in this family, but in her mind, she thought she was in a musical comedy. She'd wake up in the morning, good morning. There's a bright golden haze in the meadow. There's a bright golden, and I was always the comedian. What meadow? We live next to Target. Yes, there's a golden haze, Mom. That's your daughter smoking hash. Now, my situation was I was so stressed by this mess of my family that I had a speech impediment. I had a speech impediment so horrible that I could not say the word impediment, which is mean, isn't it? Why do they call something that the very people who have it can't say it? But does lisp need the SP in it, really? Does stuttering, does that word need all those T's in it? It's linguistically mean. They should say, you have a speech, there, I could say it. Thank you. But here's the thing. This is what I'm here to talk to you about, is that thank you, woo-hoo, to that speech impediment, because look at me. It's brought me here today to speak to all of you. Every successful person, their life starts out with a mess. and continues with a mess. And one way to transform that mess to success, one way to not let that make you into a victim, what I have found in my life, is to find something funny about it. And in that moment of finding something funny about it, immediately you have turned that into a success. And immediately you have found a way to talk about it that's funny. So people can hear it, doctors can hear it, hear what you're trying to say, and laugh. And when you say something with lightness and laughter, it gets heard. Let's face it, people who have normal lives are not very funny. They are not. I taught stand-up comedy, and people would come in and go, Judy, I've had a wonderful life. No, I've never been rejected. My family loves me. Oh, my teenager hugs me just every day. Oh, it's fantastic. I guess, Judy, if I do have a problem, it's that I can't seem to gain any weight. Everything I eat just goes right to my breasts. Do you know these people aren't funny? They're not. So when I teach stand-up comedy, and when I teach people, what do we start with? We go, what is wrong with your life? And people say, well, I'm on my 3rd divorce. And we go, woohoo, material. Oh, look at me. I got muffin fat. Yay. Woohoo. I had even one person come into the class, and she said, well, I have cancer. And I'm going, whoa. You know, they say comedy is... Was that a sound, or was I having an acid flashback? I just need to know. I'm a baby boomer, and I always have to check. I know. Everybody did hear that. I know, it's weird. I used to take acid. Now I'm taking antacid. Go figure. Oh, you relate. Yeah. Look, tracers, right? You know what I'm talking about. Don't take the blue acid. All right, never mind. So I want to tell you this story about this woman who came into the workshop. She was in the middle of chemo. She was in pain. And I was scared, quite frankly, because I said to her, maybe you want to wait till you feel better to find the funny in what you're going through. Because she got up. I'll never forget this. And she stood up and she said, Judy, this illness has taken away my health, and I'll be damned if it's going to take away my sense of humor. I want to learn how to turn this into funny. And I want to stand there and I want to give my message to people. I go, whoa, I am there. Anything I can do. And she did. She showed up at the Hollywood Improv. She announced she had cancer. And then she said, maybe you saw my bumper sticker in the parking lot. Lose weight now. Ask me how. And then she went on. We worked to find what is funny about it. And she said, why do you always get cancer of an organ you need? Why couldn't I have gotten cancer of my fat? And then they would say, Julia, you have cancer of your fat, and we're going to have to take it all out. But look what happens in that moment of laughter. In that moment of laughter, she's no longer a victim of what is happening to her. She has transformed it, and that's the transforming power of humor. As soon as you can make a joke about something, you have power over it. You are spreading happiness. You have transformed what's happening to you. And so just know, with just looking at it with the eyes of a comic, you're not in a miserable marriage. It's comedy material. You don't have the boss from hell. It's a heckler. There's nothing you can't transform. Your son wasn't arrested drunk on the TV show Cops. You have a relative in show business. there is a thin line between comedy and tragedy. There's a very thin line. It's really just, okay, all right, let's try something, all right, everybody? I'm going to tell you a story, and you tell me if this is a tragic story or if this is a lighthearted comedy, all right? Listen to the story. You grew up in Austria, and your mother dies suddenly, and you have 10 brothers and sisters, and you're left to be brought up by your father, who's a cold man. He's in the military. He doesn't want to take care of you. He gets nuns to take care of you. And it gets even worse. Each nun has a guitar and just makes you sing, sing, sing. And it's even worse. You catch the nun making out with your father, which is really kind of creepy because you're only 16 going on 17, and it's just, it gets worse. It's like your boyfriend is a Nazi. It's 1940s. Your boyfriend is a Nazi, and now he wants to kill the entire family. And what do you have to do? You have to climb a mountain. And no, it's Austria. You have to climb every mountain, okay? Right? And it's Austria. There's a lot of mountains. Now, is this a tragedy or a lighthearted comedy called The Sound of Music? It's a horrible, horrible story. But then you take your kids to it, and it's like, isn't it great? Do, dear, a female. Oh, my God, spinning. It's so fantastic. But it's a horrible, horrible story. See, your story might be a horrible, horrible story. Mix in a little humor to it, and maybe you are making that first step to climb the mountain. You are making your first step because, we have a choice when bad things happen to us. We do. It's not what happens to us that creates our happiness or unhappiness. We have a choice. When bad things happen, we can get stressed out and drink, or we can laugh and drink. So, and you know what? Let me just show you a little technique on how to make a humor choice. The first thing you could joke about is yourself. Joke about yourself. Everybody probably is already. Joke about yourself. So how do we joke about ourselves? There's a way to do it. The first thing is when someone says, hello, how are you? What do you all say? Fine, right? So you're all lying, aren't you? Because your feet are hurting, your hands are, whatever's going on, you are not fine, right? But you say you're fine. Now, what if you say something that is the opposite of fine? It could be something that's going on with you, something negative, something you just can say like, hello, how are you? I'm fat. Okay. All right. Now, if you say I'm fat, or I'm in pain, or I'm falling down a lot, whatever it is you say, now it sounds like you're complaining, right? So that's phase one. Because we don't want to be negative, because then people shut down to us. But what you want to do, what comedy is contrary thinking. You want to say something negative, followed by this word. Woohoo! All right? So let's have everybody just try this. Has anybody been called stupid? All right, so let's just, if I say hello or how are you, and you go, I'm stupid. Everybody, woohoo! Right, hello, how are you? Fat, woohoo! Okay, great, I'm in pain, woohoo! I'm falling over my feet, woohoo! Isn't it great? Isn't it great? Look, I can walk like I'm drunk, and I don't even have to buy the drinks. Woohoo! So sometimes it's harder to find that positive. Like I said, happiness doesn't just come to us. It's the pursuit of happiness. It's something that we have to do with what is going on with us. And woohoo, sister! It's like, that's what I feel about my life. I had a speech and woohoo, my sister at Cerebral, woohoo, because it has taught me so much, and I wouldn't give up that family for anything. It's given me my sense of humor. It's like that woohoo forces you to look and see something else. Forces you. If you understand that this mess to success formula, everybody who's successful. Walt Disney was beaten as a child. Of course he went on to create the happiest place on earth. Steve Jobs grew up disconnected, adopted, disconnected from his family. Of course he had to create devices that connect us all. It's that mess that propels us to success. And when we woo-hoo it, this is a great way to handle hecklers. When I was working comedy clubs, I had to handle hecklers all the time. And this is a technique that when people come and say stupid things to you, have you had people come and say stupid things to you, right? Well, this is how you do it. If people come up, I always have relatives because they love me so much, they can tell me the truth, right? And they'd go, oh, Judy, have you gained weight? Oh my God, I have, woohoo! And then if you overly agree with them, it's so funny. Thank you so much for noticing. All my late night snacking has finally paid off. I've cured my anorexia. Woohoo! They will leave you alone. And now, you are combating pain in the world. You are making a difference. Your journey, your story, I teach people to tell their stories. And because I believe, at your funeral, people will tell the story of your life, and they're going to get it wrong. And you're not going to be able to correct them, Right? I'm on a mission that you know your story now, and to look for that success in every single day. I learned about this when I was asked to speak at the VA hospital. And I was just going to talk about, woohoo, lighten up, woohoo. And, oh my God, this was such a mess. I'll share this with you. So I get there, and it's the spinal injury unit. These are like the most depressing place in the hospital. People just sitting on the side of the room looking despondently at the floor. And that was the staff. It was, okay? And then they wheel these young men in who'll never walk again, hooked to ventilators. And I'm going, I am not qualified to talk to these people. This is not like, woohoo, lighten up, okay? I'm going like, this is so tragic. How can I even bring humor to these people? It's impossible. I have no way to connect. And then a man came up to me and said, Mrs. Carter, thank you so much for being here. That's my son, Nick, over there. He was wounded in Afghanistan. They say he'll never walk again. He's 21 years old. They say unless he does his therapy, he will never walk again. He stopped doing his therapy. They say he might die unless he continues his therapy. So I hope you have an inspiring message. And I'm going, oh my God, I have nothing. And they introduce me, and I walk on stage, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. We connect to other people. We give hope to other people through our messes. We like to go on in life and go, look at me, I'm a doctor, look at me, I'm this and I'm that, and I have money or I own my house, but it's our messes where people connect to us. And all of a sudden, a story I never told, I never talked that much about my sister Marcia, my older sister Marcia. She died when she was 58. And at her funeral, there were 200 people. Why would 200 people come to a funeral of a woman who could not talk, was incontinent, was tube-fed? why would she make such a difference in their life? They got up one at a time and said, Marcia made me feel needed. Marcia listened to me. Marcia made me laugh. Marcia laughed at my joke. One at a time, they talked about how my sister, who had the most severe form of cerebral palsy you could ever have, made a difference in everybody's life. And I walked up to Nick and I said, Nick, you might not know what your purpose is, but do your therapy because you have a mission. This doesn't happen to you and have no meaning. This doesn't happen to all of you and have no meaning. There's meaning in what is going on with the problems that you are having if you find that meaning. I said, Nick, you have to find that meaning. And then I went to visit Nick 6 months later, and he was doing his therapy, and I said, Nick, what changed? He said, you know what changed? You made me feel that I had a message. And I said, really? What is that message? He says, I am doing therapy because I want to tell other vets this. Never give up. Never give up. I have a message of hope, and I want to share it with other people. Because there was a doctor in Afghanistan who told me that I'll never walk and I'll never move my hands. Look at me, Judy. Look at me. And he brings his hands up and he says, look at me, Judy. I can almost give that doctor the finger. You all have a success like that. And you all have a message. And you all can make a tremendous difference with that. I wrote a book called The Message of You, and I'm so inspired by all of you and the difference that this organization is making that I am donating all the profits from all the books to this organization. Because I believe in the power of transformation. I believe in the power of authenticity. And I believe that you all might have been beaten down a little bit by life and circumstances. And I'm here to show you that you do have a message that can create a ripple effect in this community. And that when you go to somebody and you share like, oh my gosh, I just want to share this little thing. I tried this drug. I tried medical marijuana. Whatever it is. And it really helped. There is hope for you. That person feels better about themselves. And maybe she goes home and she feels love now when she felt fear. And maybe she hugs her son and then he feels better about himself. And maybe he does his chores and he walks the dog and then the dog feels good about himself. And maybe doesn't poop in the living room. And then her husband comes home and sees the dog hasn't pooped and he feels good about himself and he puts the toilet seat down. See the miracles. See the miracles that you can do. And thank you so much. It's just an honor to speak with you.